First and foremost is no, why did I do that? Hi, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. I'm Lindsay, and game changer, I figured out that my ring light tripod, the screw on the top, fits in my camera. I thought it would be too big. So I now have my camera on that tripod, which means I don't have that light. I was gonna use it this time to make sure that like weird flicker thing doesn't happen, because I do think it's the lighting in this room. I was hoping that would help, but I can't use both. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but we'll see. I'm hoping this like different framing helps. If you can see from the title of this video, it's another cozy, chatty video because I am giving myself some time to catch up on reading after finishing my dissertation and just doing these kind of videos for now until I can like talk about specific books, which will be the next video. Yay. But this is just a chill one that I thought I would do. I was kind of inspired by like, it was a trend, I think, on Instagram Reels to be like, books I don't have any interest in reading. Maybe I'm making this up, but I swear I saw this like last year. I just got a pillow I could sit on to be taller. But I thought I'd do that. Might be a shorter video because I'm just kind of gonna list books and explain why I don't really have interest in reading them. Not to be like a total hater, not to like try to make people feel bad if they like these books. It's just there are reasons why I don't want to read these books. So it's popular books I don't have any interest in reading. First and foremost is Game of Thrones. I'm a huge fantasy reader and I've read like Lord of the Rings. I like to read, like I need to read more Brandon Sanderson. I like to read like the classic fantasies to see like why they're classics. I don't know if Game of Thrones necessarily is categorized as a classic, but it is a very popular fantasy. I just don't have any interest in reading it or watching the show. I've seen one episode and I fell asleep. Not because it was boring, I just was sleepy, but it was also like one of the like later seasons, so I didn't know what was going on. I was just at a friend's house and it was like a group of us and one of them was watching it and just we all kind of sat down and ended up watching it and I fell asleep on the couch. But I just like the themes, the things that go on in that book. Like I like to read things that make me uncomfortable, but I think it would be to the point where like I would have to DNF because I would be, it's like a constant in that series, which again, like I can read things with dark things or things that like are a bit more triggering, but I just think it might be too much for me. And that's why I just don't really have any interest in it. Yeah. I also feel like I kind of lean towards fantasy with like a romance subplot. And I wouldn't say, from what I understand about Game of Thrones, it has that. The next one kind of encompasses like multiple, because I do feel bad, like it is an author, but just I don't have any interest in reading any of their books, and it is a popular author, Colleen Hoover. I paused to evolve a Pokemon. So I also, like in general, I've not been reading a lot of contemporary romance because I've been greatly disappointed by recent ones, and everything I have read about Colleen Hoover's books, they do not interest me in the slightest. Like I don't mean to be mean when I say that, it's just it doesn't seem like it's of my taste. I've read some excerpts from them, or just like some paragraphs from them, and again, like I understand like stuff that I've seen online might not necessarily be like the best parts of it, but it just is not, it doesn't look like the type of prose I'm interested in reading. I just don't, like, I understand wanting to give it a chance, but it's not, again, like it's not even stuff that sounds up my alley, so it's not even something that I feel more inclined to give a chance to. Sorry. So I guess I am a little bit of a hater because the next one I wrote down is The Rest of Fourth Wing. My nemesis, I say repeatedly. It's just like I've read other books that I didn't like as much. Like I didn't like Hurricane Wars all that much. I didn't like, can't even remember what it's called, but it's another popular like fantasy romantasy book that I like. That was fine. I didn't dislike it as much as Fourth Wing. I just hold such a grudge because like I was so excited. First of all, it was so hyped up and I was like, well, it has dragons and it's so hyped up, like I gotta check this out, and then was just so disappointed because of the huge amount of hype for a book to be that, like, just so many things I could say about how poorly like constructed it was, and just like get those dragons out of there. They deserve a better story. But like at the same time, I can understand aspects of it that made people want to read it more, because like there were parts of it where I like did want to see how it played out, but there were also parts of it where I'm like, this is like pretty much beat for beat in another book I read. And like when I say it was written like a fan fiction, I don't mean that fan fiction is poorly written. I mean that it's just like so tropey and there's like no like good world building, because I did see a post about this and I'll try to find it. I'm so sorry if I don't, because I would like to give credit to the person who wrote this, but it was such a good point of like when books are reading like fan fiction, it's because like fan fiction is fan fiction of an already established story, so you don't really have to do like the world building, and so, and like establishing like a character's beliefs and like that kind of stuff. And I feel like Fourth Wing did not like, oh, it was such a surprise that like everything Violet believed is wrong, but it wasn't, because Violet didn't really tell us what she believed and like why she believed that. There wasn't a strong enough establishment of that for it to actually be a twist, or like anything where it was like, oh, these people seem like actually good people, and so them being evil is such a twist. It was like, no, there was no twist there to me. There was no big reveal. And again, I will say this every time, it's not enemies to lovers. But there's just so much, like, I used to have a video, but like when I had a fever one time and I accidentally deleted like 20 videos and then I had to upload them like over a week. If you go back on my channel, you can see what this happened. That one never got re-uploaded because it was like an hour long. And I felt like there were some things that I could have like worded better. So if I did make a video about that, it would be like an hour long. And I just feel like it's past the time, but because of that, there was a point where I was like, I kind of want to read the rest of the series to see if the writing or world building gets better, to see where it goes, but I have no desire to actually like put myself through that, because I'm really in the headspace of, why would I read something I don't want to read? Like, there are so many books that I will enjoy that I'm not going to put myself through reading a book when I already greatly dislike the first one, just to see like where this goes, what happens. And also like, because the dragons, like, I did love the dragons. I will love every dragon always. I just wish those dragons were in a better written book. And again, like, I hate to be so mean, but like as a book reviewer, I have come to the conclusion that I have to be like fully honest with my reviews. The next one is Icebreaker, the very popular hockey figure skater romance. And this is kind of like, I don't see myself reading any sports romances. Like, I have actually read like a tennis one, because challengers, but I don't really seek those out. But if it's like, if someone gets it for me, or like I'm just scrolling through like Hoopla or something, which I can't use right now. I also use BorrowBox as another library app. If I'm scrolling through one of those library apps and I see one that interests me, or I'm at the library and I see a book that interests me, but it's not something I seek out, because just like, rip the Taylor Swift, but I don't, like, can't romanticize professional athletes. Figure skating I used to do, so like, big props to the woman in the story, but I just like can't see that. I just like, listen, I worked in hockey. I think hockey players are very nice people, and it's not the playing sport aspect that's it's not unattractive to me. It's not like another one that I was looking at, and I was tempted to read. I have seen like multiple people, this is very specific, but I've seen multiple people read this book in airports. Things We Never Got Over, I believe it's by Lucy Score. It's not that I like think it looks bad, it's not anything like that. Again, and I've said it so many times already, this is a popular contemporary romance, and I really don't see myself like going out of my way to read popular contemporary romances. The next, like, in my last video, you would see I have, if you've seen that, you would see that I have Check and Mate on my TBR. because I liked The Love Hypothesis, and that's like the only contemporary romance I've read in the past couple of years that I really liked, so I want to try Check and Mate. But I just like, I don't have any interest in like just it being described as like spicy. Like, first of all, you're never gonna catch me describing things as spicy. I'm gonna say smut, I'm not gonna say spice. That's just not me. But that's just one. And speaking of Check and Mate, another one on my list, like despite me liking The Love Hypothesis and wanting to read Check and Mate and like feeling more inclined to read an Allie Hazelwood contemporary romance, I have no interest in reading Deep End, because what I have read about it, like the synopsis and like blogs about it, it's definitely not for me. I'm just so tired, and I think this also has to do with like my overall being kind of done with contemporary romance, is like the gender essentialism of like the overly masculine men, and like the way like femininity is described and like portrayed, and like just like even the emphasis of like the masculine and feminine, like there's no like gender roles are reinforced in a lot of these books, which is not like my belief system. And also just like I'm so tired of like reading about dominant men. Like I can't do it anymore. Like, not yucking anyone's yum, but like these overly dominant men, like me personally, I'm like, ew. So that's just like Deep End's not for me. The next one is Bridgerton. I love the show. And I did for a long time really consider reading the books. As I discussed in my last video, there was a Books A Million that was by me that was going out of business, and I got a historical romance, and at the same time they had Bridgerton on sale, of course, and I considered getting it, but at the end of the day I just wasn't sure if I'd be as into it as I am the show, because it's also like, do I think the show is like the best written show ever? No, but I still like it. However, I have heard from a close friend that the books are worse, so it ended up being like, okay, I feel like I made the right decision not reading the books. I'm also like, not like, historical romance is one of those things, like I'll read it occasionally, because I have said many times that fantasy is my favorite genre, and like I try other genres out on occasion. So it's one of those that I just feel like I couldn't commit to the whole series, and I'm glad that I didn't in the past, and I don't see myself ever picking it up moving forward. Not even just because my friends said they thought it was really bad, because like even so, like I might still like it, but it's just like, I think because I enjoy the show but I see faults in it, it's made me not want to read the books. Finally, the last one in my hater video is The Rest of the School for Good and Evil, which is something that I have brought up before, that I don't have interest in reading the rest, because I think it's like past my time, like it's a middle grade. And the first one was cute, but like it did not make me want to read the rest. And again, from like blogs and also friends, I've heard that it kind of goes off the rails, which like I have the first 3 books, because when I got it, I think I got like the first 3 together, and it's one of those things where like, because I enjoyed the first one, like when I have kids someday, I feel like they could read these books. That's the only reason I like keep them for now, because I have no interest in reading them, but I can see how like someone who is 13 or even definitely younger than that as well, because it's not, I don't think that anything's inappropriate about it for children. It's a very cute fantasy series, and I think, see, this is what happens when I just write down a list of books and like not what I want to say about them. I think there are a lot of like popular children's series that get, I don't want to say overhyped, but I am going to say overhyped, and some of these not as popular. I don't want to say that School for Good and Evil is not as popular. I mean, it has a Netflix film. And then we're going to make a second one, but that got canceled, of course. But I just feel like it could be, I feel like it is a bit underrated. And maybe it is because like I haven't read the rest of the books. Maybe they aren't like as good as the first one. But it is one of those things that like I push myself to read things that aren't as popular, even though I do clearly read books that are popular as well. and I think I'd want that for like future generations, to not just like keep reading the same hyped up books, because some specifically I don't want to mention for reasons that I feel like you can read between the lines of like my personal political social belief. That was extremely vague and probably hard to understand, but that's okay. Yeah, this is my hater video, I guess. I've seen it done, like I said. I am a big advocate for read whatever you want. Like, if other people love these books, I do not mean this to be an attack on you. This is more just like my personal preferences. It's always going to be on this channel. Like, my opinions, my preferences is never an attack on someone else's. It's just my feelings. Which I do kind of dislike the need to say that, but it is such a thing right now, especially on the internet, where like having a difference of opinion is sometimes taken as a personal attack, and I just want to make it clear that that's never the case with me. So like, obviously Fourth Wing's super popular. I have friends who like it. It's not a I think lesser of you if you like it. I just clearly don't. Yeah, that's like, because I remember another trend at the same time is like, I'm not gonna follow if you read these books. I definitely like am subscribed to people and follow people who like books that I don't. But yeah, if you have different opinions on these books, or you have books that you're like, this is super popular but I have no interest in reading them, comment those, let me know, we can have a discussion. Though I don't always like respond to every comment because of like having a bit of a boundary there. But like, that being said, yeah, let me know your thoughts on some popular books, and if you like some of the ones that I don't want to read, that's okay, we can agree to disagree, or you can even try to convince me to read them if you want. And like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye!